Welcome to the Entrepreneur of the Week section of Womenlines. Yes, friends, as we are running special segment at Womenlines because of International Women's Day month, which was last month, but still we are in the celebration mode. And there are so many health experts which we want to share about, so many coaches which we want to share about from across the globe who are doing exceptional work. Today, we are having somebody from Australia who is known as Working Mother's Mentor. Maggie Webber, a global speaker, international best-selling author, futuristic, a startup and small business mentor and consultant. Maggie mentors people globally, providing the tools to create more health, resilience, and balance. Friends, Maggie also holds advisory board positions for prominent organizations such as GCC, Assist Management, Rockstar Hubs International, which is considered UK's leading business mentoring organization. Welcome, Maggie, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for your time. So yes, Maggie, I'm eager to know, please share about yourself.
Oh, goodness me, where do we start?
Please, favorite part. I always ask, share your favorite part of your journey.
Look, there's many parts to me.
Okay.
But the main reason I call myself a working mother's mentor is this. Many years ago, I went to hear a man called John Gray speak. John Gray wrote the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Oh, yes, I read it.
Wonderful book. And he's a fascinating man. But when I heard him speak, he said something that really resonated with me. He said, a working woman today is doing her mother and her father's job.
And
a single working woman, or a single working mother, as I call myself working mother's mentor, a single working woman is a miracle worker or she's crazy, because she's doing 4 people's jobs pretty well. And she's got so many balls up in the air that it's very hard for her to keep them all up there. And so many women have what I call the struggle with the juggle going on.
Right.
So they go, to try to keep it all going.
It's crazy, definitely.
It's crazy. It is indeed. Particularly if they're single mums, which I've been for the last 25 years. Although my son's now 30 and my daughter's 27.
You don't look like.
Sorry?
You don't look like.
Oh, my dear, I'm 66 chronologically in 3 months' time.
Please share the secrets.
Thank you. Well, I think my biggest secret is the fact that nearly 25 or more years ago now, I started working with Dr. Deepak Chopra. And I was his first meditation practitioner in the Pacific Rim. And way back then, he taught me a very important secret. And he said that there are 3 kinds of aging. And so you've got your chronological age, 66 in 3 months, but you've got your biological stroke, cellular stroke, metabolic age. And last time I had mine tested, I was 48. And so it was about 2 years ago, so 48. And then you've got your psychological age. And that depends on whether I'm with my children or not, because most of the time I'm a big kid. So, and I think that's how we need to look at aging, not what age you are on your driver's license or your passport, but your whole attitude to life. And I take my body and my the body is the temple of the spirit. So I really look after my body very, very carefully. And so I meditate every day. I exercise every day. I do some yoga every day or a balance class or whatever. And I don't believe in aging, as it were. That I don't believe it's important what's on your passport. I believe it's your cells that are important. And as Deepak says, your cells are eavesdropping on every conversation you have. So therefore, speak nicely about yourself and speak nicely about your body.
Wonderful. Take a note, friends. It's a big secret Maggie has shared with us.
So there you go. Anyway, so many years ago, having studied with Deepak and studied, they say we teach what we need to learn the most. And many years ago, I was the biggest stress head on the planet. So that's why I learnt to meditate, because it was my way out of things. And so because I was stressed about everything, and so busy putting everybody else first. And that's what I was starting to say before about what happens is we've got these balls up in the air and we've got the struggle with the juggle going on. But traditionally, women have been brought up to be the nurturer, to be the one who tends to put everybody else first, So we look after the partner, and we look after the children, and we look after our parents, and we look after our friends. And then we wonder why we keel over. Because we've got nothing left for ourselves. So what I really focus on working with women on is to just make sure, like when you're on the airplane, and they do the emergency operation. I'm sure you've heard the analogy before. They do the emergency operation, and they say, well, when the oxygen mask drop down, don't put it on your child or put it on the air, stewardess, or run down and put it on the pilot, or that's not the point. We must put it on ourselves first, because it's the height of selfishness not to put it on ourselves first. Most people think, oh, we can't do that. That's being selfish. But unless we do look after ourselves and our physical, our emotional, and our mental and our spiritual health first, how can we look after other people?
So true.
So that's what I work on with women. Okay. And, and I help women find, we've all come onto this planet with so many gifts, and most of the time we're so busy, we haven't even taken the time to work out what our talents are and what our gifts are and why we are here. It's called our Dharma. I think that's how you say it, Dharma. And so, to work out what our purpose is and why we're here and how we can use our gifts to be in best service to others.
Beautiful. So Maggie, I want to understand the uniqueness of your work. So what unique work you're doing, and what's your, vision for yourself, for your work?
Okay, well, because of my particular journey, where I had a situation about 10, 12, whenever the GFC was, which was probably about 12 years ago, I was doing a property development by myself, right? And I got the development application through really quickly, and I got it all through really quickly, and then we had a bit of a hold up with with a little creek, a little easement next to it. And so that held us up for about 18 months. And by which stage the GFC had hit and the value of the property went through the floor, and I was in a mess financially. I had to sell 3 properties to be able to pay everybody back. And I just got myself into really financial dire straits. And so I was part of a big, property group where we used to sort of work with each other and help each other. But every single one of them went bankrupt except me. And I just don't have it in me to give up. I just found a way around it. But the challenge was that one of the reasons, there are 2 main reasons that I coach. And one was because a dear friend of mine was in that property group. And after 3 years, she'd gone bankrupt, and she said, Maggie, just go bankrupt. It's so much easier, and you can take the weight off your shoulders and you don't have to worry. And I was getting further and further behind the 8 ball with my finances, and I was starting to get sick because I was, didn't know what to do and how to pay the bills and everything. But after 3 years, I was supposed to go and meet this lady and have a cup of tea with her. And then her boyfriend, her former boyfriend I knew, rang me up and he said, Maggie, I want you, please come with me to Cherie's funeral. And I said, What? I said, I'm meeting with her next week. What's going on? And she looked so happy. And I said, what's going on? And he said, well, she's gassed herself. And which meant that she'd thought it through. And she'd left behind 2 children, which made it even worse. And I thought nothing, even with what I'd gone through, I thought nothing is that bad. That you take your own life and you leave behind 2 children. And that's what really triggered me into coaching, because I see so many people who don't know how to handle the challenges that they're facing in life, be they big or small. And so many people are in what I call the responsive reactive mode.
Very true.
And yet it's not what happens to us in life that is really important. It's how we react. And so the greatest gift I can give in my coaching is to teach people how to get out of being in that responsive reactive mode, be it big or small circumstances that happen to them, and get into a creative one. So and to powerful. Create their own destiny and to create a different response. And so losing Cherie then it just was such, it's like everything. It's like COVID. There's so many good things that have come out of COVID. The good thing that came out of Cherie's passing was that I could actually take that tragedy and help other people to avoid that situation by teaching them to get, nothing is that you've just got to learn to have different reactions and different responses. I mean, you think of Oprah. I mean, for goodness sake, that lady, what happened to her? She was
child, and there were so many bad phases. We have read the book, and it's shocking. I mean, what Oprah is today, nobody can members.
Exactly, family members of her. She was
nobody supported.
She was pregnant at 11, she was in juvenile hall at whatever. Now imagine that, and most people, so many people would react in that way, that they just don't, that they take it on and they make themselves into a victim's a tough word, but they blame themselves, or they do and they have a completely different response. So you can either be in a victim mode, or you can be in a victory mode, and you can take your circumstances and you can change them into something that builds resilience and builds wonderful experience, and you become a role model for other people.
So powerful, Maggie. I'm really touched. I'm having goosebumps because you have shared that tragedy with us, and we know that many people are, especially women, are leading double life. The show is there, they're happy, everything is going fine, but from inside they're not able to manage, they're a mess. So there's so much requirement for coaches like you, who really can help them to be their authentic self and to fight out those situations and come out as a winner. Because it's all about, I think everything is in mind. Mind is a game playing thing, which if we learn to handle it in the right way, courtesy to the coaches like you, I strongly believe coaching can change life for anybody. I really strongly recommend that people should be taking services from coaches, because that's the way they can lead life much better way. This incident proves that if she would have discussed with you, if she would have opened up to you, you would have helped her much better way, and she must be there with you now. But she was not leading authentic life, and she was not able to manage herself, and she took that harsh decision. So yes, there is so much requirement for the coaches like you. My next question to you, Maggie, is as a coach, we want to know, how can you bring a difference in your coach's life, and what other specific benefits she can get? Please share some insights.
Well, it's interesting because you said before, just a few moments ago, about the mind. And I think one of the challenges is that we tend to go to our mind a lot for the answers.
Me too.
And I was only having a discussion with my daughter about this not even 24 hours ago, and she's in London, a very, very, very sharp young lady. She is very entrepreneurial. And yet she didn't fit into the traditional scholastic model. And neither did I. And in fact, my teachers used to say, I had one teacher who told me I was an idiot, and which was very interesting, because for many years I lived up to her expectation, because in traditional schooling, we tend to be focused on someone's IQ. I'm much more interested in someone's EQ. in their emotional quotient or their SQ, their spiritual quotient. And so this is why after I studied with Deepak, years later, I went on to study something called heart math. And heart math, with meditation, now that the research is much better to show the benefits that meditation gives you to your physiology and whatever. But heart math is research-based and everything else. And so you can actually prove, and you can put a little gadget in your laptop and work and watch what happens to you as you focus on your heart area. Because the fascinating thing is your heart is much more intelligent than your brain will ever be. And so 90% of the messages actually go from the heart to the brain. And so I'm much more interested in working with someone as a coach so that they tap into their heart's intelligence and their intuition, which some people say is God speaking, because your intuition is never wrong. Yes. But your head often is, so that's another difference, I guess, to my coaching, that I will help someone tap into that intuition, tap into that intelligence, and get much more into the creative mode, so that they actually create the life they want. They are the creator in their own life, instead of having life lived for them, in other words, instead of, they actually become the creative force in their life. And so they create the life they love. And they're much more, instead of being so interested in how many cars they've got, or how many degrees they've got, or this or that and the other, which is all external.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful book called Conversations with God. And many quotes from it jump out at me, but one in particular is, if you don't go within, you go without. If you think the answers are going to be outside yourself, in your car and your degrees and your this and that and the other, you'll keep on searching.
That's never ending.
That's right.
So
look within and and tap into the intelligence of your heart, and then you'll really tap into your dharma and your purpose for being on the planet.
Beautiful. Take a note, friends. We are having Maggie, who can really help you out to stand out and to manage yourself better. So do check out her website. Do check out her details. We'll be sharing everything. All the pages we'll be sharing in the content section, and reach out to her to know more about her coaching. So yes, Maggie, my last question. Please share some message for Womenlines audience.
The message I would give is really to be your authentic self. Don't be who you think other people think you should be. I remember once I went back to my school, a school that I really didn't enjoy very much. And I was cheeky, because I said to all the girls at the school, I said, it's not about impressing your parents or your schoolmates or those teachers sitting in the back row. Yeah, I was cheeky. And the headmaster was sort of going like this. So I just said, it's about making sure you've asked yourself the question, what are my gifts and how can I use those to be in service? And it's not about impressing anybody else. The only person that you need to impress is yourself.
Beautiful. So friends, if you are not aware about your gifts, get in touch with Maggie and discover yourself and navigate yourself. Thank you so much, Maggie, for your time. All the best. I wish you all the best for your future endeavors. Take care.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.